Hello and welcome back to my channel. I was just saying to Joe as we were driving back in the car, it's amazing, Saturday morning again and it was raining. It seems to happen every week. Is it an omen? Does it mean you'll get a good result? No, not necessarily. I've had a really, what's the word I should use here? Sloppy week on plan. It might not sound sloppy to a lot of people, but for me it felt sloppy. I made a decision last week to step up to 3 healthy A choices, and I did that. So I was having a litre of my skimmed goat's milk for 2.5 healthy A choices, and then half a healthy A choice of cheese. And while it felt good, it felt greedy. And I think it messed with my head, and my head is easily messed with. So while it was on plan, because I'd intended to do it and maintaining, I can do that because I should be manipulating my healthy extras and not going over on my sins, it felt greedy. And I think that played such games with my head that by the end of the week I found myself measuring things but letting it go a bit. So when Joe would measure, I would be having 80 grams of avocado and Joe would say, it's 95, is that okay? I'd say yes. And I'm not blaming Joe, it was my choice. And happened on a couple of other things, didn't it? I'm trying to think what they were. A couple of times when, cut a piece of cheese and it was 6 or 7 grams over. Ordinarily, we'd cut those 6 or 7 grams off and I just wouldn't have them. It might sound awfully wasteful to people who are adamant about not wasting food, but if I'm having avocado and I've got 8 sins for 80 grams of avocado, and my avocado weighs 112 sins, I am not averse to throwing away the 33 sins extra. Because my best friend, who I've talked about on this vlog, who died 2.5 years ago, used to say to me, for God's sake, Jane, you are not the kitchen bin. Because I would finish off everybody's everything, and then sometimes he'd say to me, don't put it in your mouth, put it in the bin. And all this week, I've had that going around my head. I could hear him saying it, for God's sake, Jane, you are not the kitchen bin. And he used to say to me, Jane, get a grip, what are you doing? And all this week, I've actually got him on tape somewhere saying this. All this week that's been going round and round in my head. So while I have been, I would say 95% on plan, 95% is not good enough. It's really not good enough. Now, I got a £1 gain this morning, which was fine. It's taken me to 8 stone 10.5, which for me is ideal because I like to be about 8 stone 11, 8 stone 12. But it's how I got there that isn't sitting comfortably with me. If it had just been that I'd decided to step up to 3 healthy extra A's, that would have been one thing and that would have been fine. But what's messed with me this week, and what I've chosen to do that has messed with my head this week, has been letting these extra, was it last night, Joe, when you weighed my avocado and it was 113 grams? That's where that figure came from. And I just said to Joe, oh, blow it, it's Friday. I'm expecting a weight gain tomorrow. That's what I've been trying for. I'll have the 113 grams. That's an extra 3 sins again. And we went for coffee yesterday afternoon when we met Joe's dad. And I chose to have another cortado. We were at the hospital on Thursday, was it? And they make the most amazing lattes. And what do I do when we go to the hospital? Because we've been to the hospital so much in the last year, it's been a bit of a reward for me.
Yeah, you keep making a habit of it.
It's been a reward for my patients sitting in all these clinics over the last year saying, hospital coffee doesn't count, it's sin-free. It's not sin-free, Jane. So on Thursday, when we were at the hospital and we had a long wait, I had a latte. Did I count it? No, I didn't. Is that going to work in the long term? No, it's not. And I know better. And I can do better. And while that £1 gain is quite incidental and it's not a massive gain and it doesn't really matter, is it the start of a slippery slope? Do I want to gain £1 every week? Or am I going to get my arse in gear and stop it? I watch other people on their blogs, and sometimes I think of myself, oh God, Jane, you could come across like the Slimming World Police. And I'm saying, you know, somebody will mention a sin count, and I find myself going, no, actually it's not 2, that's 4. Or somebody will say so-and-so, so-and-so, and I'm going to guesstimate 3 sins for it. And I'm like, well, because I know that's what I do. And I know it doesn't work. And this week I've been doing it. Now I could come out with a lot of excuses. I know every excuse in the book. In fact, I could write a book of excuses. 1001 Slimming World excuses. It would be that easy. But there are things that, you know, do test you in life. Like on Tuesday, Joe decided to just pop to Tesco and pop to Asda. And they're in opposite directions. So he took his bike, his brand new, really nice bike that he's saved up a long time to buy. And he went off to Tesco and he locked his bike up and he got what we needed in Tesco, and then he cycled to Asda, and there's a big bike cage which has CCTV on it, and he locked his bike up with a proper bike lock. And he went in the store, got a couple of things. He was literally in the store 5 minutes, and he came out, and some really nice person, and I use that term very lightly, or very loosely should I say, some really nice person had cut his bike lock and taken his brand new bike. Now I know that's life, and in life shit happens. And it's not life-threatening, it's a first world problem, because some poor souls in second world, third world countries, whatever, don't have bicycles. They have to walk just to get basics like water, don't they? We take for granted the luxury of having a brand new cycle. But it doesn't, how can I say it? I don't get it out of proportion anymore, as in, Joe was safe, it was his bike that got taken. But what does make me angry is when it happens to somebody else. If it had happened to me, I wouldn't have been so angry. When it happens to somebody else, you've watched a person work hard, save up the money, buy a really good bike, and then that happens. And ordinarily, I would eat over that. But I didn't. And what struck me by the end of the evening, after we'd been talking to the police and the insurance company and everything, I actually said to Joe when we went out walking that night, do you know, Joe, I'm actually quite proud of myself. And he said, why, Mum? I said, because I didn't even think about eating over it. So I didn't have to make a choice not to. The thought of doing it didn't come into my head. But I think subconsciously, even though things like that, you feel like you're better able to manage them, they're still there and they fester. And I think basically I need to do something like saying, I forgive the person who took that bike. Much as I'd like to punch their lights out, I actually forgive them. Because if I don't, and I don't let go of it, and it wasn't even my bike, it was Joe's bike, but if I don't let go of it, it will fester. And it's like having a graze. You know when you fall over when you're little, and your mum uses the antiseptic, doesn't she, on your knee and everything, and she cleans it up and she puts plaster on. But it's like doing that and grazing your knee and not getting the dirt out, just sticking a plaster on. We can stick plasters over all sorts of things that are happening in our lives, but unless we actually deal with them, forgive somebody if they need forgiving, put something right that we've done wrong or whatever, and actually deal with it and then move on, I think those things subconsciously fester in me. So I've got to the end of the week not eating over what happened, but subconsciously letting my guard down. So having an extra 30 grams of avocado, having a hospital coffee, which is like I could drink 3, they're so nice, but not counting the sins for it, choosing to have another cortado. This morning at group, they were offering the new Hi-Fi bar taster pieces, and I had one. I don't eat Hi-Fi bars, I don't like Hi-Fi bars. Why did I take a chunk of this new bar? And I know everybody's saying they're lovely, and some people say they taste like Snickers, or they taste like this, or they taste like that. My opinion, foul. Didn't like it at all. Why did I take it? I don't eat sugar. So again, you know, I'm not saying don't buy them. You taste them, you try them. If you like them, eat them. They are on plan. But for me, who doesn't choose to have sugar, why did I even put my hand out and take it? They're the sort of things I've been letting my guard down over this week. And while it's brought me a £1 gain, which is what I needed, it hasn't brought it me in a comfortable fashion. I also have in mind that I'm going out for lunch tomorrow with Richard to Bill's, which is my choice. So I will be having, you could say an off-plan meal, you could say a flexi-cinder meal. I'm planning to have the Bill's well-known fish finger sandwich. And I don't count sins for it because I wouldn't know how to. I could kid myself and say, yeah, it's 2 slices of bread and 3 or 4 fish fingers and count that, but I don't know how much to count for the dressing. I'm not going to take a tablespoon with me to measure it. I'm not going to take a pair of scales with me to weigh everything. So I will just say that's one meal. Consider it either flexi-cinder or off-plan. It won't affect your weight, it'll only affect mine, whatever you choose to call it. That's what I'm doing. And part of me today is going, should you really be doing that? Well, yes, I should, because I don't do it regularly. It's a once in a while thing. But I need to be mindful that I am letting things slide. So it stops here and now, no more. And tonight, when I have avocado, it will be 80 grams, it won't be 82. And when I weigh my feta cheese, it will be 30 grams, it won't be 34. Because it always has been 30 grams, it always has been 80 grams of avocado. And that's why I am 8 stone 10 and not my first target, which was 11 stone 11. So I'm not going to stay here if I start behaving differently. And I can tell you today, I would rather feel the way I feel in the size of body I'm in today than I would eat any of that stuff. So yeah, sometimes I can be my own worst enemy, and I've let some of that slip in this week. I would not say I've had a bad week. I would not say I've had an off-plan week. I would say that on occasions I have chosen to let it slide a little. And I'm the first person to say to my friends, unless you do it 100%, you don't. It doesn't work 100%. You can do it 95% like I've done it, and it'll work 95%. But if you do it week after week after week, or if I do it week after week after week at 95%, before I know it, my first number in my weight will not be 8 stone something, it'll be 9 stone something, and then it'll be 10 stone something. And by the summer, you know, I could be saying, well, I'm fine, I'm only 10 stone 2, or, well, I'm fine, I'm only 9 stone 9. And that sounds a hell of a lot less than the 22 stone I used to be, but it'll be a hell of a lot more than the 9 stone 10.5 I am today. No, see, got it in my head already. 8 stone 10.5 I am today. I want to stay where my first number is an 8. So the book stops here. I'm going to stop fudging the edges and do it properly. I'm always saying that's what I'm about. I am about all or nothing. And unless I do the all, I'm going to slide into doing the nothing. So yeah. 39.63 miles this week, so my mileage is down by about 5 miles, but that's just been the type of week we've had, and the fact that one morning, I can't remember which morning it was, but we went out and we were like halfway round our morning walk and the heavens opened. And I can tell you in all sincerity, by the time I got home I didn't have one item of dry clothing. I've never been so wet in my life other than when I've been in the shower. So it was everything off, everything in the washing machine, and my shoes, well, you could wring my socks out and my shoes were absolutely saturated. But hey, no, it was Wednesday morning, wasn't it, Joe? I survived it, and I still walk, and I tell you, it doesn't matter how cold it gets, how wet it gets, how frosty it gets. Joe will drag me out there if I'm doing that. I don't want to go, it's too cold. He drags me out. And I'm so grateful for that, because sometimes our own motivation isn't enough. We need somebody to push us. And this week I have needed Joe to push me a bit, and he's pushed me. And yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Joe and his help and support. And I think we all need that on plan. We need our families on our side, and we need our friends on our case, so that when we're out with friends and we start to let it slide a bit, they might at least pull us up on it. So, all in all, a good week, a good result, but a few things that I need to take action on. One of the things we bought when we were in Tesco's Thursday night was these. This is a sweet potato. Now, lots of people eat sweet potatoes, but this is a purple fleshed sweet potato. Now Joe tells me the flesh in these is like royal purple. It's not sort of beetroot colour, it's proper purple. And what Joe does with sweet potatoes is he bakes them in the microwave. So like a jacket potato, but done in the microwave. Now, if you had a big one, Joe, how many minutes?
Well, 3 or 4 on either side, so 6
So
in total.
bake
But
it
not
into-
like that. That'd only probably take, I don't know, 2 on each side. That's
So
a really small sweet potato.
Yeah, so you do 2 minutes. Well, you scrub it first, of course.
Yeah, scrub
Do you
it
cut the
first.
hard bits off at the end?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, scrub it, cut the hard bits off at the end. Don't wrap it in kitchen roll like I do with jacket potatoes, but 2 minutes on that side, turn it over, 2 minutes on that side. Leave it stand for a minute.
The way it
because-
kind of works out, if you weigh your sweet potato, I know it's a bit far for some people to do that, but if it's like in the 300 grams, do it for 3 minutes each side. If it's 400, do it for 4 minutes each side. If
So
it's
if it was
200,
450, you go 4
yeah,
minutes.
4 minutes each side, yeah.
Right. And the flesh in these, when they're done in the microwave, is so creamy and sweet and rich and delicious. Now, yesterday...
Yeah, it's
before-
not disappointing like a white potato in the
No,
microwave.
it's much
actually
nicer
really
than a
nice.
white potato, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yesterday, lunchtime, before we went out in the afternoon, Joe had been having his lunch and he'd done a traditional sweet potato, because you can get the purple flesh, you can get the traditional, you can get white fleshed ones. We've got them all in Tesco currently. And their loose ones are a fabulous price. You can get 2 big ones for about 70p. Yesterday he'd done one in the oven and then he split it lengthways. Excuse me, please. And he had on it, sprinkle some garlic powder, some onion powder and a little bit of nutritional yeast, which
Yeah.
is something Joe uses. And he said, have a bite of this. And I took a bite and I went, oh my God, Walker's cheese and onion crisps. Didn't it?
Yeah,
It tasted
it
just
really
like
did,
the
yeah.
topping on it tasted just like Walker's. Now I think nutritional yeast is about 1 sim for 5 grams. You can check that, but
But it's, if
once.
you've never had it before, it's like light flakes of
Yeah, you get a
inactive
lot.
yeast. You get a lot for 5 grams.
grams. And I think I'm sure it's 1 sim for 5 grams.
Like 5 grams would easily cover a whole sweet potato, easily.
Yeah, and if you're buying it, if you are leaning more towards a vegetarian's lifestyle, if you buy the one with, is it B12 in it? Vitamin?
Yeah, for vegans, they go for the one that's like fortified with B12.
Yeah, because it is better for you. I mean, you can get it without. I think you can buy it in Asda without, can't you?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
tend to get it
But
in
if
health
you
food
if you're
shops.
eating meat, there's no point in going for the B12 one. It's actually probably like better for you to go for the one that's not fortified.
Because you'll be getting enough B12.
Yeah, you'll be getting enough
Yeah.
B12, and like it's
It's more
Yeah,
expensive
yeah.
as well, isn't it? But oh my goodness, and the nutritional yeast is something that you can sprinkle on top of bolognese and things like that, just to get a little flavour on top.
goes lovely with eggs.
Yeah, it goes. Well, you have it with a lot of things because Joe will have a
Cauliflower.
little. Yeah, he often has a little espresso cup with some. Excuse me today. I'm sorry. He has a little espresso cup with some, and then he'll dip vegetables in it
Yeah.
when you're eating. But he also has a little dish of hot mustard or whole grain mustard. He's really into like flavourings and things. But that was incredible. And one of the things we bought this week, which we never bought before, was onion powder. We've never used that before. And on my crackers, my rye crackers with avocado on, Joe usually puts 1 twist of pink Himalayan salt. But then he sprinkled a little bit of this onion powder on the top. And oh my goodness, that's really nice too. So the onion powder goes really well with avocado. Have I got other headings on there that I'm forgetting?
And just double check.
One thing that I do know is on there, I was out with a friend who went to the beauty therapist the other night, and we were chatting in the car, and she had been talking to somebody about my weight loss, and said to them, you know, about my friend has lost 13 stone, 4.5 as it was at the time, 13 stone, 3.5 as it stands now. And she said, and she's blind. And the girl was saying, oh gosh, that's amazing. I think she meant because I was blind and I'd done it. And Liz said, well, actually, you know, Jane has always said it was a far bigger disability to be 22 stone than it ever has been to be totally blind. And it just reminded me, you know, actually it was. And sometimes I forget how far I've come, and I forget how different I am in shape and size today from, you know, when I was this wide. Because like now, I'm a 27 waist. I probably used to be a 50 plus waist. Now I'm a 37 hip. I probably used to be a 50 plus hip. Now I wear a 32 or a 34 bra. I used to be a 44. It's things like that. Because you live with yourself every day on this weight loss journey, and because it's so gradual, you know, you see the graphs coming down gradually, I think often you can really lose sight of how far you've come until you find yourself sitting in a certain chair that you used to struggle to get into, or running up a flight of stairs that you used to struggle to walk up, or fitting in a certain size of clothes. And even that, as you come down, you know, you take it for granted. So I think the thing I was thinking about there, it was a good reminder to me that actually being so morbidly obese was much more of a disability to me. It stopped me doing a lot more. Because you can get help to do things when you're blind. Like I can have help to go and I can walk 10, 15, 20 miles. When I was 22 stone, it wouldn't have mattered how much help I got. I could not have walked 10, 15 or 20 miles. I struggled to walk 1,000 steps at that size. So it's something I want to acknowledge again today, you know, how far I've come on this journey. Because sometimes I forget, I really do. What was on my list, Joe?
No, you covered everything.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. A couple of things in group this morning. I was really sad to hear that I've just discovered I like the bolognese ragu sauce thing, the Slimming World meal, and to hear this morning that it's been discontinued was quite a disappointment. Joe's discovered a passion for the vegetarian quarter pounders, and I actually had 2 with my lunch yesterday. And when I would say they're nice, if you're going to cook them, they need 10 minutes longer than it says on the packet at least. Don't you agree?
I agree.
Yeah, they need
To make
cooking.
them a bit crusty on the outside.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, all in all, we've had a good week. We've had a discharge from one of the hospital clinics, which was cause for celebration, and you can celebrate without food. I'm sure you
But
can.
not without coffee.
But not without coffee. Oh God, no. I've drunk. You know, since I stepped up to having a litre of my milk, I have drunk so much coffee this week. I think I'm actually going to go back down to 2.5 healthy extra A's. Because last night I got to like, I don't know, 8 o'clock last night, and I'd still got enough milk left for 4 big milky coffees. That's a lot of coffee to drink before you go to bed. And I'm not going to not have it when I can have it. So yeah, this week I'm going to tighten up again. I'm going to go back to doing it 100% because that's much more me. And I'm going to have a good week. Nothing can get in my way. As I say, I'm out for lunch tomorrow. But should one meal make that much difference? Well, let's wait and see.
We're at 23 minutes by the way.
Thank you. I think that's a cue to go. We've got loads to do, so we'll crack on. But thanks for being there. Thanks for everybody's lovely comments because they do make a difference. And we will be back next week with hopefully a maintain. So have a great week and we'll see you next week.
And remember,
it works if you work it. It won't if you don't. See, I've not been saying that and reminding myself. So that's it. It works if you work it, Jane. It won't if you don't, Jane. Okay, see you next week. Bye.